Okay, guys, in this video, we are going to evaluate functions. Now, you may be wondering, why are we doing this? What is the point? Why are we writing this function? What is the meaning of this variable n that's there? What's that w doing there? So I want you to think about something like a programmer would. If you ever wrote a program, you would know that a bad programmer repeats the code over and over and over instead of using a, let's say, a for loop. So you do not want to do that, right? You want to write instructions clearly and you don't want to rewrite them again for a different person, the same exact instructions. So the function is with variables is just like an instruction. Like if you give me a variable, if you give me something that changes, this is what I want you to do with it. Okay, so you don't have to give the same exact instructions when there is another value that comes in, right? All you're saying is if you give me a value, so like n, what I want you to do is multiply this by -2. Now, by the way, why is multiplication first? Because that's our rules of order, right? So you don't need to put parentheses in this case because multiplication always comes first. And you may be wondering, okay, why multiplication? What is this -2n? What does that mean? Well, anytime you have a number in front of a variable, the default operation is multiplication. So you're saying, if you give me something, whatever it is, I want you to multiply it by -2 and subtract 5. And you don't want to repeat this instruction for every person who comes and gives you something. So if they gave you -3, you're going to do exact same thing. You're going to multiply it by -2, subtract 5. If you give me 0, I'll do the same thing. Multiply by -2, subtract 5. But this is a short way of writing what to do with an input. Okay, that's what a function is. All right, so now let's go ahead and compute the values of the function. So what you're going to do is you're going to find this code, okay? This is the code, and you're gonna type it in Desmos, but when you type it, instead of the unknown, you're gonna put that in parentheses. So replace the unknown anytime where you see it, replace it by parentheses, okay? Now, right now, Desmos is complaining because you did not give it any input. But if the input is -3, I am just gonna stick it right here, and Desmos gives you the answer. So that's gonna be 1. And really, you can figure this out by yourself because -2 times -3, remember negative cancels, and that just gives you 6. And then you subtract 5, that's 1. Okay? Now, if the value changes, so you're saying, okay, what is that function? Well, they call it w of 0 now. Well, you don't have to again list the instructions because we know. I mean, this is what we have to do with it. So we're just going to replace the input and get a different output. So for -2 multiplied by 0, remember multiplication comes first, and any number times 0 is 0, subtract 5, and that gives you -5. Okay, now somebody else comes and says, okay, let me give you 4. What are you going to give me in response? Well, let's replace 4 now over here. So this is going to be -2 multiplied by 4, which is -8, and then subtract -5 is -13.